Questa è una conferenza che avrà ospiti soprattutto inglesi e quindi, o parlanti inglesi, quindi io adesso passo all'inglese. Se qualcuno di voi ha bisogno di traduzione, fuori ci sono le cuffie, siete ancora in tempo per prenderle. Però diciamo che possiamo cominciare. So, let me switch into English. This is the Agrifood conference made by Maker Faire. We're going to talk about food. We are going to talk about people who are changing food, who are hacking food. And we are going to have a lot of stories here on the stage about the future of food. Let me tell you in a few words, then we will start with the first keynote, what's going to happen during the next hour and a half, 2 hours. We're going to have a first keynote by Mr. Steve Ritz, then we will have a panel, then another keynote by Luca Lamesa, then a second panel with many different stories going from urban farming to using insects for the food of the future. So I won't steal much more time. We are recording everything. I'm inviting on the stage Mr. Steve Ritz for his presentation, which I'm looking forward to see. Please.
Okay, thank you.
A big applause.
Please. There you go. Okay, so hello, Italy, and buongiorno, Roma. Good to be here. Thank you. And hello, Maker Faire. 3 days, 7, actually it's 10 pavilions. We are in the 10th and 100,000 square meters of innovation. OMG. We are going to change the world because we are all makers. So who are we in this room? Well, we are foodies, we are farmers, and we are futurists. We are not nerds. No, we are superheroes. And we are going to change the world. I'm here to talk a little bit about the future of food as it looks like, because when you think about this, farming as we know it and traditionally is changing daily to inner city farming, to farms that look like this, to the future of food, to food factories, thinking the drones and everything here is changing meat from that to this, into this, even our friends with the insects. But that is not food, and I want people to realize that input equals output. So for me, good food really is about policy, culture, and infrastructure. But whether you want to talk about food shifts, whether it is actual resources, carbon footprint, or real money in the bank, food shifts matter now more than ever. And in a world that is increasingly more globalized, increasingly more automated, and make no doubt about it, climate change is real, things make a difference. And the work that we do collectively around food comes across 5 areas. Because first and foremost, food is a non-negotiable. Without food, we'd all be naked and hungry. So let's just think about that for a minute. Without food and farmers, we would all be naked and hungry. But the work of food touches 5 critical aspects of our life. First and foremost, it is cultural. It is economic. It is technology. It is environmental. And for me, first and foremost, it is about health and wellness, growing something greater. Food and farming represents the opportunity. We are the gatekeepers, if you will, of equity and opportunity in this room. When you think about the fact that there are now more people suffering from obesity than there are suffering from hunger, both sides of that coin is wholly unacceptable to me. And when you think about the difference between industrial food and small stakeholders who are responsible for so much more diversity, that to me is very intense. That to me is very critical. Now, in a population that is yet to double, possibly, in our children's lifetime, we don't need more food. I would argue that we need better food for more people. And that's really what this to me is all about. Better food for more people. Making sure that people in cities get food. And my job is to make sure every child everywhere in America has access to healthy, fresh food. Now, I say that together we are putting the culture back in agriculture, because the reality is we are living in a world of abundance. And I tell that to my students every single day. And here in Italy, you know best, we all deserve a perfect plate of pasta. Every child deserves a perfect plate of pasta. So there's lots of work to do, and I think it's a combination of education and choice, Again, education and choice, because culturing a food system involves a couple of things. It involves, one, making sure that we are teaching through food production, introducing culinary literacy in schools, guaranteeing practical familiarity, that people know what it is that they're eating and growing, cultivating critical consumers. People need to know what they're buying. They need to be advocates for good choice. We need to make convenience healthy and tasty. Imagine if it tasted good and people wanted to eat it. We need to focus on meals, bringing people back to the table. We need to value customer criticism and accept it. And we need to offer transparency in all food choices. That's what this movement is all about. So we've got a lot of work to do. I say let's dig in, because when it becomes a revolutionary act to eat real food, we are all in trouble. And I'm honored to be here, thanks to Sarah and the Future Food Institute, to rethink food to shape the world, because that to me is the critical work that we do. So I want to jump out a little and skip part of my presentation to jump into something that I think you'll find much more interesting. I just got to get my glasses on because I can't see too well. And I'm going to skip down to show you what I'm doing these days, because I believe, quite frankly, that the problem is the solution. And I kind of had this big idea moment that if we started working with children and we started taking over schools and embedding this notion of food into schools, that we could change the way we eat, change the way we live, and change the way we learn. So I took a school in the United States, in the poorest congressional district in America, the lowest functioning school, and I said the problem was the solution. And I decided to turn it into the National Health, Wellness, and Learning Center at Community School 55, so we could change the way we eat, change the way we learn, and change outcomes in this and future generations. This was a 100-year-old building, which in Italy is not very old, but in the United States is really outdated. And for a lot of reasons, this building was absolutely outdated. And we revisioned a whole new way of doing school, from impossible to I'm possible. And realistically, children love growing food. When you put a seed in a child's hand, you're making a promise. You're making a promise to them that they will be there for that harvest and they will see this thing rise to epic proportions. And literally, in the first year, we reduced out-of-class time and behavioral incidents by 50%. Right in the school, by just having hands-on learning. So teachers were teaching, children were learning, and teachers who needed help teaching were able to get the help that they needed pedagogically instead of complaining that the kids were out of control. We focused on 5 of the critical 10 indicators for school success. We only picked 5 because 10 is too ambitious, so we picked 5. And in the first year, we moved them from developing to proficient, which was really remarkable. In the second year, we saw something amazing happen. We saw a 45% increase in passing rates on state tests, including English language learners and special needs students. Children really got involved. They really got engaged. And just this year, it's March 16th, 2017. For the first time in the history of the school, we are proficient and well-developed in every single area. So it proves that food-based education, embedding the art and science of growing food, of eating food, of preparing a meal into every aspect of math, literacy, science, home, history, technology, changes the outcome. In fact, my students and I just made the cover of Time magazine for kids, which is pretty cool considering where we come from. So these are happy kids. Most importantly in the process, we're sending home 100 bags of groceries a week. And those are my little future chefs. Thanks to Miguel, they're going to be pancake botting it up soon. But this whole notion of hacking into the food future is what it's all about. I believe that neither zip code nor skin color should determine outcome in life, and my goal is to send the first cohort of children from the South Bronx to the esteemed Bronx High School of Science, and that's what it's all about, growing something greater. It's a model that realistically is starting to spread across the United States, down through South America to Europe. It's something I wrote about in my book. We are doing curriculum. Imagine food not being a recipe book, but a whole curriculum, nine-week courses of science, math, social studies, language arts, computer science, art, cooking, homework, project-based learning, exams, everything that is recursive around school and growing food with a website. You even get me. It is Common Core. For those of you in the United States, it's Common Core aligned and Next Generation Science Standard approved. We are partnering with P21 and IB aligned so that this is a program that's good all over the world. But it starts for me with teachers, 2 crazy teachers. People who like to grow plants, people who show up, grow food, and do amazing things with kids. On a bigger scale, in the United States, we are seeing an exodus of big box retail in ways you can't imagine. We're also seeing a shift in employment, and we're taking over empty big box stores and literally turning them into farms, doing things with the same kids. Those are my kids a couple of years later, doing the same thing we do in class, creating living wage jobs, doing net zero water farming into, in huge indoor facilities. We are collecting water. We're not using any additional water. We are growing food, creating flavor profiles for chefs, anything and everything you want. This is the future of food. This is what the work is really all about. A new dining experience, a new health experience, a whole new community experience, and most importantly, living wage jobs in communities that traditionally have not had any. So that's the power of a plant, and I believe it builds value for all, and ideas like mine and yours here are literally going to change the world. It's not easy being green. Sure, Kermit the Frog said that 45 years ago, and look at his lens on sustainability. He's got his own TV show. So even though we're all little tadpoles in this Maker Faire, hacking fair movement, I want everybody in this room to get out there and take a big, great leap. Embrace your inner frog and grow something great, whether it's growing a green roof. There I am in Harlem growing corn, embracing your inner greenhouse, embracing your inner wall, your green wall. That is the U.S. State Department coming to visit my high school in the South Bronx. And I will tell you this, the State Department never came to the South Bronx for edible plants before. That I can assure you. But for me, it starts with little ones, teaching them to grow food, what food is, where it comes from, and it starts with a simple seed in the ground. I mean, if you walk next door to Pavilion 9, you're going to see food growing in every which way. So for me, every child around the world, no matter where they come from, needs to understand what healthy food is, where it comes from, what it looks like. Remarkably, those are my students who are getting access to clean air and clean water in the process via ways they never imagined. Literally, I was on the Today Show showing how it's entirely possible to eat your way into good health. This is just one of my classrooms, and this is not Photoshop. This is 24 days in the South Bronx using 90% less water and 90% less space. A community that was once struggling has now gone from surviving to thriving. Welcome to the new neighborhood. This is what we are doing. That's 24-day-old living lettuce. Those are happy, healthy students doing something amazing. And if I were to ask a little child, are there any children in this room? Well, if there was, I always start off school by saying, if I gave you a penny and told you to put a penny in the ground, and 60 days later I would give you a $5 bill, who would get involved? Everybody. And that's what this movement is all about. It is absolutely a living wage, health beneficial opportunity for all. And my students and I, we are cooking and growing and creating a whole new paradigm for success. And I could not be more proud of them, and they couldn't be more proud of me. I want to show you, even in terms of hacking technology, this is a video that was made in my classroom by a 5th grader using an iPhone. Check it out. Behold the beauty of life as it unfolds in front of us. That is really cool. My VCR at home still says 12 o'clock. But this thing is growing, growing, growing. And to me, there is nothing more spectacular than watching nature and life unfold in front of you with children in school, and every 24 days you get to eat it or sell it too and do it all over again. How cool is that? So that's some of the stuff that we're doing in my classroom with kids in school, all around health, wellness, nutrition, technology. I believe that you design, build, and transform because social sustainability and living wage is at the heart of innovation so that together we can all prosper. It is win, win, and win. To think that my students and I are designing technology that is both net positive on food and energy is absolutely spectacular. And to think President Clinton came, it was an honor to meet him. To think that a guy who just put some seeds in the ground and, 15 years ago couldn't tell you what a plant was, could make it to the top 10, finalist status in Global Teacher Prize, goes to show you with nature anything is possible. And there I am on the cover of STEM. I even got to meet Oprah, but my own story is rather remarkable because I myself have gone from impossible to I'm possible, because 5 years ago, that was actually 6 years ago, that was me. And I forgot to bring the shirt here, but that was me then. Diabetic, 302 pounds, just eating myself to death. So I like to say I've become a champion of change for making. To think that my students and I were regulars at the past White House, not this one. So let me just state that clearly. And I apologize for our present choice in president. I had nothing to do with that, and I'm working diligently to fix that. But hopefully we can talk some sense to President Trump too. But to get a phone call from the president and be invited to present at Maker Faire there, and to be cited as one of the leading, one of the leading advocates for climate change is totally cool. And to think that my students and I got to be at South by Southlawn is awesome. It's what I call a si se puede moment, or as you would say, si passiamo in Italy. My life is literally, through the art and science of growing food, become better than ever. Which brings me to you guys, Maker Faire. Who knew that putting seeds in the ground would get me here? And last year, I was so excited to be there. We won the Editor's Choice Best in Class with pop-up farms, and we're able to take our farm and install it in the U.S. Botanic Gardens, a model of low-cost, scalable replicability. It's with Sarah and her pavilion next door, so come see us. And where am I going next? I have no idea, out of this world and out of my mind, but I do it with a cheese hat on. And remarkably, from the food desert, I will be in the Middle East growing food at the Sustainable City, which will be the first net zero energy, net positive city on food and energy in the world. In each and every one of those biodomes, we are growing enough food to feed the city. The city is entirely solar powered. There are no cars in the city. It is a walking kind of health, wellness, and mindful community in the middle of the desert. So I like to say, from the food desert to the Middle East, that's me in there growing food and having a good time. That to me is the power of a plant, so that together we can all prosper. You see, because I come from a place where we have everything to gain and nothing to lose. And we're makers, we're hackers, we're tinkerers. We don't accept life as it is. We demand to live life as it could be and as it should be, equitably and fairly. And that's a garden that my students and I help build. So for me, it's kind of simple. I want to make sure that every child around the world has access to food and that everybody has a fair seat at the table. In a world where traditionally big fish have eaten little fish, the coolest thing about Maker Faire is that the smart fish outswim the big fish, and we are all smart fish in this room. So leave this room today and go swim. Swim to every single one of these pavilions and learn something. And my big takeaway for you is you start in a place of truth. You go to a place of good. You make it just and well ordered. You make it beautiful. You make it sustainable. You encourage prosperity. And then you do it again. Why? Because we are makers, and that's the work that we do. Innovation, disruption, transformation, and most importantly, satisfaction, because we all feel good about the work that we do. So I urge all of you in everything you do to think boundlessly, work purposefully, and live passionately, and get out there and change the world and make epic happen. Because in my lifetime, with my students, we have gone from this to this. We've gone from this to this. We've gone from this to this, from this to that, and from that to that. And if I can, you can, we all can. And most importantly, now more than ever in this time of incredible turbulence all around the world, how we walk with the wounded speaks far louder than how we sit with the great in crazy places, in dark rooms, and abandoned building. I am growing food. So my name is Steve Ritz. I grow vegetables. My vegetables grow students. They grow schools. They grow communities. We get out there and make epic happen. And from the bottom of my heart to yours, I wish you all the best of luck, because I believe students and all of us are going to change the world. So no matter where you go and what you do, get out there and smell the flowers. My name is Steve Ritz from Green Bronx Machine. I urge you all to make epic happen. Si se puede, or si pasamos. Thank you so much. God bless you, and make epic happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ritz.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me and inviting me. Thank you.
Mr. Ritz, just a question, a short question for a short answer. Is there a great mistake from which you learned a lot during this incredible trip you had?
I am the most successful failure you will ever meet. So I jokingly say I keep falling up the ladder of success. So fail often and just keep trying.
Yeah.
I kill a lot more plants than I grow. The only thing is I show the living ones, not the dead ones.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So after this amazing presentation, now it's time for a panel. So I'm inviting here to have a seat on the stage Chiara Cecchini, Miguel Valenzuela, and Matthew Oswald. Please, have a seat. An applause is good. Thank you. So here we have very different stories. Let me start from Chiara. Do you have a, yeah, you have a microphone. You have a presentation, so we can do half. I mean, you can start with your presentation, we can chat together. We will have your presentation. Is it already working the computer? Il computer è già pronto per la presentazione, eventualmente? Sì, se apri la prima, quella di Google intanto. So, while you're reading the computer, I have a question which is pretty simple. What is Future Food?
Okay, so Future Food is an organization that brings together different kind of players in the food industry. We bring together food makers. Since we are here, it makes sense. Companies in the food industry, organizations, great people. Maybe I had also the switch.
Yeah, you have. I was. Please. He's going to switch the presentation. It's the one running down there. So it's going to take a few seconds.
So yeah, and the goal is basically to inspire people and to give skills and capabilities and network to everyone that want to make a change in the food industry.
You have your presentation shown.
Okay. So, I don't know how to.
It's exploding.
Yeah. Just
It's better if you go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
First time with Google, I'm sorry. Only a second. Non capisco perché faccia così. Proviamo a uscire. A posto. Rientrare. E questo?
Sì.
Vabbè, io l'ho lasciato a questo per apposta perché partisse però non parte. Vabbè, allora se non c'è il video commentiamo, no?
Ok, certo.
Ok, dai. So,
yeah, and basically
we had a video, it's not working, so we're commenting it. I'm sorry.
Okay, and so we do that like with different activities, and one of the main activities actually the Food Innovation Program, which is a master program where we bring together different kind of food makers, whoever is interested in the food industry, and the idea is to expose all these people and these talents to what's happening in the food industry in order to allow everybody to reshape what's our food system right now. And when you do that, we also make people traveling. And so this is basically the trip that we have been doing last year. And the idea is to go in 10 different food hubs around the globe in order to inspire people to see what's around them.
Yeah.
And
Put it closer to your mouth. Sorry.
And so these students basically have been traveling all around. They've been experiencing a lot in terms of what's happening in the food industry. And the main, and here you can see like some pictures. And what we have been discovering is that there are food makers. There are many food makers, and they they need to be connected. They need to be allowed to share the stories, and this basically is what brings us here to Maker Faire.
So, from your perspective, how food is changing? What are the best challenges we are going to face in the next future? I mean, in the next years.
Yeah. So, like, we have been working with like different kind of challenges and trends, as Steven was explaining. When we talk about sustainability, when we talk about food waste, when we talk about the future of meat, the future of proteins, there are many challenges that we are facing. And actually, working with makers, for example, we have been seeing different good practices, different people that are doing great things. So, for example, like I have here a bunch of guys that we have been working with, food makers. They are basically turning the waste of beer in granola bar. They are using the waste of oranges to make fabrics, to make clothes. They are working, she's basically based in California, and she's using kombucha and the SCOBY of the kombucha to make clothes. He's Ethan, he's basically working on alternative proteins, so meat made out of peas.
Yeah.
So there is a lot going on, and there are a lot of good makers.
How do you find them? I'm curious.
How do we find them?
Yeah. Do you find these stories, these people doing this? How do
Traveling.
Traveling.
So the purpose is this one, like when you want to educate people and to make an impact in the food industry, you need to talk with people. So you need to go around, you need to speak with those people, and you need to understand which are the stories behind that.
What's the next step for you? I mean, for the futuristic, what are you planning to do? Is just going on finding people, or are you going? Is there a way to scale of this project?
Yeah, we are working on that. Actually, also like our involvement with Maker Faire, the idea is like to involve all the makers that we have been meeting in different events where they can share the stories, and they can then find partners.
Yeah.
They can find new people that they can work with. And also, so what we have been doing with Maker Faire has happened last year in Rome, this year in Bay Area, New York and Rome again here. And the idea is like to go and to grow together and to go in many events and many already existing initiatives where food is used to be not so much important, and to bring food makers and food people here.
You know, I'm curious because you are Italian like me, and you know that food is not just tool to survive, but it's part of our tradition. Now we are facing many challenges, and we are facing the need to change change food, to change the sources of food, and so on. So we are challenging important part of what we are as a culture. Is this difficult? Maybe we can talk later about this, but is this difficult for people? What are the challenges there?
For sure, in a country like Italy, it's more difficult than in other countries where they relate less with their food culture. Here we are really, really proud of what our food and what our food culture. But I think that more and more people are understanding that we need anyway a change in some parts of our food chain. And so with events like this, people are like getting less scared about innovation. And so like that's why like I really think it's important, like just involve people in seeing that changing things is not a bad thing. It's just you can improve things just changing.
There's a big part of this innovation right
Exactly.
here. We will talk about that later. Miguel, could you pass, do you have a microphone? You can take this one, yeah? Okay. We started talking about education and food in a very amazing way. You have a story about this. You have a lot of things that you can... let's forget that the presentation, let's talk, let's chat. And let's start with your project. What is Pancake Box? Let's start from that.
Do you mind if I read something?
Yeah, you can.
And because we're in Italy, so I wanted to try this out here. And I tried this out yesterday, so
let's give it a try.
Italian. Here we go. I pancake sono delle frittelle simili alle crepes francesi, famoso in tutto il mondo.
Sì.
Il pancake americano è soltanto più pesante e più spesso di una crepa. I pancake possono essere garniti con panna montata, frutti di bosca freschi, marmellette oppure poeticamente con dello sciroppo d'acero. La tecnologia dei pancake pot permette di creare nuovi design per I pancakes e di riprodurli in maniera seriale.
That's an answer.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very
Grazie.
much. Un applauso ci sta. Meanwhile, I had your presentation on the computer. If you want, you can change it from there. If you have something you want to underline with your badge. But so this is what pancakes are. But what is pancake pot and who are you? Because your story is central to all this, all your project, isn't it?
Yes. Well, when I have a presentation, I talk at a Maker Faire. I talk about creativity and innovation, but that's kind of I talk a little bit about the history of Pancake Bot. If you ever Google Miguel Valenzuela, there's 2 Miguel Valenzuelas on Google. The one on the right is not me, or the left. I mean, that's Miguel Valenzuela from Australia. Interestingly enough, if you he's a bodybuilder, and he talk to him about getting shredded, and you can talk to me about shredding cheese. But as a bodybuilder, he's into protein pancakes, and so I contacted him and said, hey, we got the same name. Why don't we work together with this crazy pancake machine and make protein pancakes in Australia next year? So we're going to be down there in Australia next year. So anyways, I threw him up there. The Pancake Bot started off as a whimsical dream to make a pancake machine out of Lego. It's actually Pamcake. And it was inspired by my daughter Lily, and this is actually the prototype that's here. And the idea that we could take an idea from a little girl and use the tools of innovation, being Legos, to create a machine to do something is really remarkable. Unfortunately, nobody really took the Pancake Bot seriously as a Lego version. We'd go to these Maker Fairs and we'd show this off. Oh, it's so cute, it's Lego. But as a Lego tool, people thought it was a toy. And then eventually we made this Pancake Bot version here, which is the acrylic version. And that was made with the Arduino from Massimo that made the Arduinos here. And what this taught me was that we had the power in our hands as I guess a normal person. Even though I was a civil engineer, I had not learned very much programming. I had learned a little bit about Legos and stuff, but I was able to go to the maker community and ask for help online. Hey, I got this crazy project I'm working on. Oh, sure, here's some code here. Go to another person. Here's an open source software program. Here's some code here. And next thing you know, we're making Eiffel Tower pancakes at this Maker Faire. And then the story got crazier where we got invited to go. This is an animation that we created. I don't think it'll play. I don't know how that would play. Oh, that's the wrong one. But anyways,
every time you try it, I'm sorry, I left it on.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I left it on Google.
That's fine. It's a link if you want to. But anyways, after the pancake, we did this one here, the acrylic version. We got invited to go to the White House in 2014 to be part of the first White House Maker Faire. And there's our family over there. And what I like to tell about the Pancake Bot, it's not about an industry that, hey, guys, what are we going to do today so we can sell more projects? It's about the fact that we took an idea from my daughter, and my wife helped me out, who's always watching the kids when I'm doing all these crazy things. And now the girls are making pancakes, and we all got to go to the White House and make Obama pancakes for President Obama.
They're here at the Maker Faire right now. They understand making pancakes.
Yeah, so we're making pancakes over here, and they were making pancakes yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful that they feel so comfortable talking in front of kids and everything. But the idea here was that food combined with technology all of a sudden really connected with the kids. Because we would go to fairs all over the world, and it was Legos, pancakes, robots. And we had a 15-minute line just to get a little round pancake the first fair we were at, because it was something that related to the children. And they could sit there and say, oh, I did this. Or I could make that with Legos. And we then incorporated some mathematical concepts. So this is a M.C. Escher-inspired tessellation. We took an algorithm from the Professor Kevin Lee from University of Minnesota to show how mathematics can be linked with food. So now you can talk about algorithms. You can talk about programming and creating G-code with the Pancake Bot. And then we've gone around with crazy adventures, meeting a lot of people, in my opinion, that are, some really cool people in the maker movement. Steve Wozniak. We made 700 Steve Wozniak pancakes in Oslo a couple of years ago. But, these are the things. And these two people that are in this picture right here are my students, because I'm not, I don't have a big factory of pancake bots. I am also a teacher for special needs students, and these students had never been out of the school. And then we finally take them to a Maker Faire. Next thing you know, they're the heroes because they're making pancakes for everybody. And it built up their self-esteem and actually flew them down here. The school paid for them to make pancakes with us here.
So you got them here too.
They were here yesterday making pancakes in Rome, never been out of Norway, and except for England. And now they're visiting over here making pancakes for other kids, inspiring. So this is the power of combining technology and food that we've been talking about. When you combine those two things, it makes technology personable, and it makes it human. And so that's what's really cool about combining these two things.
So we start and say that growing food helps children growing better.
Yes.
And now you're saying that also cooking food and creating food with a machine like this help them because they have to interact with other people.
Exactly. And allowing them to share their projects gets them out there and communicating. But, you know, Pancake Bot is not necessarily about that we're going to all be eating food out of a tube. I don't like to get fresh tomatoes and sticking it into the Pancake Bot to make something good. I can take some older tomatoes and make something out of it. But, you know, as Stephen was saying, you know, the real 3D printers for food are seeds. I could have 100 3D printers in my pocket. I just get that seed, put it in the ground, add water, get energy from the sun.
Yeah.
I can feed everybody in here. That's where the technology comes in. That's already there. How we use technology to cultivate that and create the perfect environment, whether you're in a house or whether you're in the city or a building, that's what the importance of technology is. And when you have Maker Faires here that give the tools to regular people like us and to be able to control the environment, to control how these things work, we can create a perfect environment for that seed to grow it and cultivate and feed everybody. So that's the power of the maker movement. That's the power of microcontrollers like Arduino and Raspberry Pi to get those. And then you have an organization like the Future Food Institute who can help all of us makers come together and empower other people to get the food that they want and know exactly where it's coming from. And then, you know, then they can use machines to make customized pancakes or whatever they want. So that's how it is.
That's some kind of revolution. Thank you.
Exactly. So that's really what it is.
Thank you. He's got one. Matthew, you say that I read that you say that making is a subversive act. This is subversive, you know, this intermediating and transforming and changing the way you make food, isn't it?
Yeah, so, you know, I learned a lot about, a lot of the work, my work is informed by growing up in the independent music scene in New York City.
Yeah.
We learned no one was interested in what we were doing, you know, and no one was going to help us. So we started our own record labels. We started, can you guys hear me out there?
Yeah.
Is it running?
Sentite tutti, vero?
Take it up a little.
Sentite anche laggiù? Puoi alzare un pochino, poco poco? Yeah.
So we had to make our own stickers. We had to print our own T-shirts. And now as we move into this open source world where we can use Arduinos and...
Put it closer to your mouth.
Arduinos and Raspberry Pis to then say, no, we don't need to also use these machines from a store. We don't have to have a Keurig machine tell us how our coffee is going to be made. We can just do it on our own. And then, where am I going here? Sorry. The creation of the machine doesn't have to, you don't take quality out of it. You can still continue to automate things and build things on your own, and you don't have to spend $800 on a coffee machine to get a good cup of coffee in the morning. What you really need is hot water and a little care. So not agreeing with, you know, not buying into it, oh, well, this machine is fashionable and this machine is the one I need. You can really do it on your own.
And what's your next step? You started with a coffee machine, but maybe you have other ideas now.
So what I'm really passionate about is removing friction from people's daily lives. It's really good for us to stop and take a minute. And if you're going to make a pour over, those 10 minutes while you're making it, that's really rewarding. But the reality is that you have children, you have work, you're holding a bunch of stuff in your hands, you know? So for me, it's how do I make the quality quick? So we take data from coffee snobs. I don't know if you have a same term in Italian, but people who are really obsessed with coffee. With Muggsy, they can dial in these perfect recipes. Okay, but my grandmother is not going to do that. So what Muggsy does is it learns how to make high quality coffee from those people, and then it shares those recipes internally. So Muggsy will say, "Hey, I know this coffee bean. There's this guy in Seattle. He makes it exactly this way. We're going to do that." So for me, it's how do we share information, quality recipes, and data to make experts satisfied with the machine, but get that same quality for amateurs who don't actually care. They just want hot coffee now.
You know, you come to talk about coffee in Italy, which can be tricky.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
you know, many of the people here who works in a bar and makes coffee consider themselves as an artist.
Right.
Okay, so and sometimes they are. Let's admit that. In this world, in the next future, in the world of maker, can handmade and automated coexist and thrive together?
Yeah, and I think so. And my goal is not to replace the artisanal experience of walking into a bar or cafe and getting a hand-pulled shot. It's to simplify the lives of everyday people. Every person deserves a really good cup of coffee all the time, but we don't always have time to get in there and do that. So I believe we can learn how to automate using simple machines, simple software, machine learning, take those processes and then share them with the people. I want to be able to go to a cafe and have a handmade shot. I don't want a robot to do it. But when I get home, I want that same quality. And we can inform the machines we use by looking towards the artisans who are making the really good coffee.
How much design is important? I mean, I saw around in the last few years a lot of very interesting machines. What was the real problem there was interacting with them. And I think that the growing up and getting more adult of the maker movement is passing through the attention to the interfaces, to the caring of the way people can interact with their machines, which are still amazing, but now are more usable. Is it a problem that you feel as an inventor?
Absolutely. So for me, one of the big things was I wanted people to have a lot of control to be able to dial in these settings. But then I realized when I wake up in the morning, I want coffee now. I don't want to set all these things together. So instead of I had this initially very expansive menu system so you could really get this perfect cup of coffee. And then I said, nobody wants that at 7 a.m. on the way to work. So I made one big button that says coffee now and another button that says everything else. So boom, you're in the morning, you just hit that button and you're good to go. That's the interface. It's simplifying. It's removing friction. I didn't want to have an app that you have to download so you can control the coffee machine. I want you to be able to lie in bed and send it a text message. It uses the systems that you're already using. So if just the way you would communicate with your family, your friends, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Alexa, whether at the office if you're using something like Slack, if you can remove that interface, you're good to go.
Last question. I was at a conference made by NVIDIA last September, and they were talking about bringing more intelligence into machines, into making more autonomous the machines we're saying. And this is an issue also for the makers. I mean, they're trying to bring AI easily and in a cheaper way to this kind of machine. I mean, do you feel the need of putting AI into a more powerful AI into your machine, and in the next year we're going to build?
Yeah, and sometimes I recognize the absurdity of having a coffee machine, that's using machine learning and artificial intelligence. But the reality is big companies and scientists, they're releasing methods for us to use artificial intelligence easily in really interesting ways. I'm not an incredibly awesome developer, but I'm able to use these same tools just like everybody else. So Muggsy will learn by varying temperature, by varying grind size, immersion time, and it will ask you, hey, was this cup of coffee better than yesterday's cup? So when we talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence, we don't have to think of these big Terminator robots. It could be as simple as saying yes or no. And that is, even yes or no is extremely powerful in this regard.
And so, thank you, Chiara Cecchini, Michele Valenzuela, and Matthew Osa for sharing with us your stories. It was very amazing. Thank you very much. May I have one of this? Yeah. When you get outside, you will find one of these is made by Miguel. You can take one and have it to remember this days and the being here, isn't it?
It's Dan Lacey is an American artist that did it.
Made by Dan Lacey, who is an American artist. Thank you, Miguel. This is mine. I'll keep it. So next step is a keynote presentation by Luca Lamesa, which is going to be held in Italian, because Singularity University, which he represents, is asking to speak in the local language. Thank you to be here.
My pleasure.
Prego.
Grazie.
Tanto io provo a mettere la presentazione.
Perfetto.
Se vuoi fare una piccola introduzione.
Assolutamente, grazie a tutti voi di essere qui. Lo speech sarà in italiano perché le policy di Singularity sono che quando si apre un'entità locale la finalità è quella di diffondere gratuitamente questi temi, e per diffondere meglio ci chiedono di farlo nella lingua locale. Se voi avete piacere di approfondire potete scrivermi in privato, vi manderò tutta una serie di link ufficiali in varie lingue per approfondire questi temi. Di base vi racconto le mie esperienze. Io di lavoro faccio tutt'altro. Io lavoravo nel marketing di Procter & Gamble e Unilever, ho creato un'agenzia social specializzata soprattutto nel mondo dello sport, però ogni anno cerco di fare un paio di esperienze personali, di crescita personali che non siano legate al business, quindi cerco di uscire un pochino dalla bolla dentro nella quale tutti noi viviamo, e 2 anni fa sono stato preso dalla Singularity University, che è questa realtà che si trova nel centro di ricerca della NASA in America, che studia come cambieranno le nostre vite in futuro grazie alle tecnologie esponenziali. Chiedo se si possono mettere le slide. Perfetto, ok. Quindi in realtà Singularity tecnicamente non è un'università intesa nella stessa maniera con la quale noi siamo abituati a intendere università, è una benefit corporation, quindi è un'azienda, perfetto, è un'azienda che segue sia il profitto ma viene sfidata anche per l'impatto sociale che riesce a ottenere. Quindi si trova nel centro di ricerca della NASA in America, come dicevo prima, e hanno fondamentalmente mappato i grandi problemi dell'umanità dividendoli in gruppi. Quindi ci sono il problema ovviamente della fame, dell'acqua, del cibo, della sicurezza, dell'ambiente, dei rifugi, della salute, dell'istruzione e tutti gli altri, e spiegano come le tecnologie esponenziali possono aiutarci a risolvere. Cosa sono le tecnologie esponenziali? Sono quelle tecnologie che una volta che prendono piede seguono la famosa curva esponenziale. E quindi se qualche anno fa in pochi avevano, banalizzo il concetto, in pochi avevano un cellulare, oggi tutti noi abbiamo accesso a tecnologie di questo tipo. La mia esperienza è stata nel 2015, appena vi sedete nelle loro aule c'è questo robottino che vi accoglie e vi dice su cosa lavorerai affinché tu possa avere un impatto su 1 miliardo di persone nei prossimi 10 anni. Quindi ti dicono subito: smettila di vedere il micro problema, cerca di capire come fare un qualcosa di veramente esponenziale. Non a caso dietro c'è la NASA, perché la NASA dice: quando noi dovevamo andare nello spazio non potevamo continuare a ragionare con le stesse logiche che si usano sulla Terra, devo cambiare completamente paradigma, devo trovare un nuovo modo, per esempio, per far comunicare gli oggetti a grandissima distanza. La location è veramente fantastica e loro selezionano ragazzi da tutto il mondo che possono fare 2 tipologie di programmi. Io ho fatto quello più breve che si chiama Executive Program, eravamo 96 persone da 24 paesi diversi e facevamo sia una parte teoria che una parte di pratica. Questa era un'attività di teamwork, la capacità anche di costruire, visto che qua siamo dei maker, ho ripreso queste slide. Anche se loro ti dicono fai team con gli altri per creare qualcosa, crea un robottino, qua da buoni italiani, eravamo 2 italiani, abbiamo chiesto assistenza a uno degli astronauti che lavora con Richard Branson, quindi abbiamo delegato a lui la realizzazione, però ti chiedono di dare quello che hai ma di mantenere la tua identità, quindi per chi di voi è di Roma capirà perché abbiamo lasciato la bandierina SPQR sul nostro piccolo robottino. Tra l'altro nel 2015 si vedevano i primi prototipi dei robot che avete visto sulla copertina di Wired i mesi scorsi, e tra i ragazzi che hanno fatto questi programmi c'erano anche quelli che stanno lavorando sulle nuove metodologie per la produzione sostenibile di prodotti di origine animale, quindi poi si passa dalla parte teorica alla parte assolutamente pratica. E quando sono tornato in Italia ho voluto cambiare qualcosa della mia vita, nonostante le cose andassero particolarmente bene. Ho deciso di tagliare il 20% dei miei clienti per avere tempo libero per diffondere gratuitamente questi temi, perché mi ero reso conto di qualcosa che non era 100% corretto secondo me, in quanto avevano accesso a tantissime informazioni super interessanti, ma nel 2015 queste informazioni non erano così facilmente reperibili in rete, e quindi per averne accesso bisognava essere selezionati, bisognava andare in America un periodo, quindi magari se avevate una famiglia era più difficile andarci, e poi la fee per partecipare era particolarmente alta, circa $2000 al giorno, quindi era qualcosa di assolutamente troppo selettivo secondo me in quegli anni, poi è cambiata molto. Quindi ho deciso di avere tempo libero per diffondere gratuitamente questi temi sul territorio. Con degli amici abbiamo ottenuto la licenza per aprire il chapter di Roma, che si chiama Singularity U Rome, e di base noi organizziamo eventi per diffondere gratuitamente i temi. Organizziamo delle cene di massimo 15-20 persone per mettere al tavolo coloro che, se facessero sinergia, potrebbero creare progetti a impatto sociale. Quindi ho detto, non sono io la persona che nei prossimi 2-3 anni potrà lavorare a progetti che impattano 1 miliardo di persone in 10 anni, penso di non essere pronto, ma posso essere un ottimo connettore per mettere al tavolo persone che stanno lavorando a questi progetti. E per esempio qua c'è Salim Ismail, che è uno dei vicepresidenti di Singularity, che era venuto in visita al Papa, mi ha detto ho finito prima dal Santo Padre, organizziamo al volo una cacio e pepe, e quindi sono anche occasioni per avere accesso a personalità di questo tipo. Questo è un altro evento che abbiamo organizzato sul futuro della medicina, e vado avanti sul tema invece del futuro del cibo. Questa slide è importante perché tutto quello che facciamo è assolutamente su base volontaria, senza nessuna ricerca neanche di equilibrio economico, però all'America ci hanno riconosciuto di essere uno dei chapter più attivi al mondo, e quindi c'è Giulia Tatananni, che oggi è in giro per i vari padiglioni, che abbiamo scelto come ragazza, che abbiamo vinto una borsa di studio e abbiamo mandato Giulia a studiare questi temi in America. Entro nel tema del futuro del cibo perché, partecipando poi ai summit in giro per il mondo, quando sono andato a quello in Olanda, ho conosciuto un signore che ci ha parlato proprio di come la parte del food dovrà cambiare, e nel mondo purtroppo siamo divisi in 2 poli. Ci sono circa 805 milioni di persone che sono costantemente food insecure, che non hanno accesso continuativo al cibo, 805 milioni, mentre 2 miliardi e 100.000 sono le persone sovrappeso nel mondo, quindi è come se veramente ci fosse questa ingiustizia di fondo. Notizia però positiva: quando Singularity ha mappato i problemi dell'umanità, quello del cibo è il secondo più facilmente risolvibile, anche grazie a tutte le tecnologie che voi state realizzando. Per me è stato veramente inspiring sentire i discorsi di chi mi ha preceduto, perché si va tutti nella stessa direzione facendo piccoli passi. E questo signore che ho conosciuto ad Amsterdam è colui che ha ricostruito il primo hamburger in laboratorio, partendo dalla cellula del muscolo della mucca, ed è partito da un'assunzione molto molto banale, e l'assunzione è: se continuiamo a crescere come popolazione nel mondo allo stesso livello di crescita attuale, e ciascuno di noi continua a mangiare la stessa quantità di carne pro capite, non basterà la terra per contenere tutte le mucche, dovremo mettere le mucche nello spazio, quindi non è sostenibile anche solo da questo punto di vista, per cui si stanno cercando nuove tipologie di produzione anche solo del mondo della carne, piuttosto che gli altri che abbiamo visto prima. E quindi in questo caso si prende una piccola cellula dal muscolo, la si moltiplica in maniera esponenziale. Ci hanno fatto vedere tra l'altro una cosa incredibile, che tu prendi queste cellule, le metti intorno a una sorta di cilindro, come se fosse un bicchiere, e loro piano piano si stringono intorno e incominciano a crescere fino a diventare il primo hamburger realmente riprodotto con questa tecnologia. La parte più interessante non è avere un hamburger che prima non esisteva, ma è l'impatto che ha su tutti gli altri aspetti della produzione. Quindi questa è la percentuale di terra che veniva utilizzata proprio come campi per far pascolare le mucche, e questa è quella successiva, la percentuale di acqua che veniva utilizzata, questa è l'acqua attuale, e la percentuale di energia che veniva utilizzata, che viene molto diminuita. Poi sapete anche il problema dell'ambiente legato all'emissione degli animali. Questo è il primo hamburger, che è costato $1 milione al chilo, ovviamente è un qualcosa che tende a spaventare, $330.000 ad hamburger se volevate assaggiarlo. Tra l'altro, però sono numeri evidenti per tutto ciò che riguarda l'innovazione. Pure il primo computer è costato tantissimo, poi le tecnologie esponenziali seguono questa curva che li permetterà di scendere nel tempo. In effetti c'è una previsione che presto costeranno $11, arriveranno fino al prezzo che noi siamo abituati a pagare l'hamburger nel supermercato, anche se quando feci la foto con lo scienziato che stava lavorando a questo progetto, Gli dissi, guarda, mi è piaciuta tantissimo la presentazione, ho solo un ma. Sinceramente non mi basta che il prezzo dell'hamburger in laboratorio non mi basta che arrivi allo stesso prezzo del supermercato, io vorrei che quell'hamburger arrivasse a chi oggi non ha accesso all'hamburger, quindi dobbiamo andare bene al di sotto del supermercato. E lui mi ha detto, è assolutamente fattibile. Quindi questa è una delle varie strade che si può percorrere e sono contento che anche alcuni ragazzi da Singularity lo stanno percorrendo. Tra l'altro avrei curiosità per alzata di mano di sapere se anche voi rispondereste a queste domande nella stessa maniera in cui è stato fatto in Olanda. Sareste favorevoli o no alla carne ricostruita in questa modalità, a prescindere dal fatto se voi la comprerete o no? Siete favorevoli a queste tipologie di esperimenti? Sì, per alzata di mano? Impossible food. Chi è contrario? Vediamo se c'è qualcuno che si astiene oppure ci sono contrari. C'è anche contrari? Ok, perfetto. Si è tirato subito indietro. Qualche altro contrario. Perfetto. Tra l'altro ho fatto degli esperimenti anche con degli amici utilizzando i social, chiedendo i loro punti di vista. E allora l'hamburger di per sé all'inizio non è tanto buono quanto quello attuale, perché dicono che non è juicy perché gli manca il grasso, quindi non è gustoso, è proprio muscolo pieno. E questo apre degli scenari. Innanzitutto abbiamo visto anche prima qualcuno nel mondo delle palestre, no? E il mondo delle palestre è impazzito già per questo prodotto, per la capacità di avere carne senza grasso, ma non è lì che vi voglio portare. C'è tutto il mondo dei vegani che mi hanno detto saremo interessati a questo prodotto perché non va comunque a far soffrire gli animali. Se dovessimo andare avanti, ovviamente quello che mi interessa non è tanto la singola soluzione, che potrebbe essere quella del laboratorio, ma potrebbe essere tutt'altra come quella che abbiamo visto in precedenza. Mi interessa la convergenza delle tecnologie, quindi fare in modo che più tecnologie sommate riescano veramente a cambiare un determinato mercato. E quindi si parla sempre di più dei droni nell'utilizzo dell'agricoltura. Io non sono un esperto di questi temi specifici, di volta in volta però mi piace studiarli e approfondirli, e quindi sono andato a vedere quelli che possono essere le applicazioni. Ho conosciuto anche diversi ragazzi che ci stanno lavorando, e ovviamente quelle più semplici sono quelle del monitoraggio del territorio, dell'irrigazione e dello spraying a livello anche molto più accurato rispetto a quello che veniva fatto in passato, piuttosto che alla semina planting, utilizzare i droni anche per riuscire a seminare. Ho voluto studiare anche tutti quelli che dicono che questo porta degli svantaggi, e quindi sono andato a vedere gli svantaggi, la durata di volo del drone e il costo del drone. Sono stato assolutamente contento di leggere questi svantaggi, perché sono i classici svantaggi che si superano da soli col passare del tempo, perché la capacità di volo del drone evolverà con l'evolvere delle batterie e il costo del drone calerà al calare, quindi al crescere, diciamo, dell'evoluzione delle case di produzione dei droni. Per cui sarebbe per me bello confrontarmi anche con chi è più esperto di me su questo tema specifico, per vedere se ci sono altri limiti che dovremmo tenere in considerazione per far sì che queste tecnologie possano essere positive o meno. E quindi è solo questione di tempo, e io ho aggiunto di buonsenso e di equilibrio, perché credo che la tecnologia debba sempre rimanere tecnologia a nostro servizio e mai una tecnologia che magari va a discapito dell'uomo. Quando vedevo le immagini delle persone che magari sono nei campi a lavorare con dei ritmi veramente disumani, là sarei contento se il drone prendesse il posto loro, ma se contestualmente noi riusciamo a dare loro un'alternativa sostenibile con gli Universal Basic Income e tutti gli altri scenari che si stanno testando. Chiudo con una parte sulla tecnologia, nel dire che la capacità di usare il drone con delle telecamere termiche nel mondo dell'agricoltura è sicuramente utile, però se guardiamo la stessa tecnologia può avere un impatto molto diverso se usato in altri ambiti. Spesso utilizzo questa slide per far vedere un drone con una telecamera termica che fa la scansione del territorio per vedere se in un appartamento c'è qualcuno che ha la temperatura più calda. Vuol dire che dentro quell'appartamento sta producendo droga, quindi si possono usare questi droni anche per fare il controllo del territorio. Ho messo una foto della polizia, ipotizzando che fosse la polizia a utilizzare queste tecnologie. In realtà non è così. Questo è un caso che ci hanno fatto vedere della criminalità organizzata messicana, che è molto più avanzata sulla tecnologia rispetto alla polizia locale, e quindi purtroppo credo che ci sarà sempre più questa duplice lotta tra bene e male con l'utilizzo della tecnologia, con la differenza che la criminalità organizzata ha molti più capitali da poter investire in maniera accelerata. Per cui vi volevo lasciare con questa provocazione, perché siamo noi a poter fare la differenza nell'utilizzare la tecnologia nel modo migliore. Se vi sono interessati questi temi, Il prossimo evento è questo martedì, sono sempre eventi gratuiti e ho chiesto a Federico Pistono, che qualcuno di voi già conosce, ha scritto il robot cerebrando lavoro, but that's ok, ora lavora per Hyperloop e poi se volete mandatemi un messaggio privato su Facebook, è una metodologia che utilizzo per rimanere in contatto con le persone per poi invitarvi agli eventi oppure per mettervi in contatto con terze persone se posso aiutare facendo da tramite. Io ringrazio Alessio, ringrazio tutti coloro che mi hanno permesso di essere qui, ringrazio Alex per tutto quello che sta facendo e gli altri speaker che sono stati illuminanti.
Grazie a te Luca, grazie per essere stato con noi. Grazie a Luca Lamesa.
Grazie. E grazie a tutti per le foto.
Okay, so now we switch back to English and we go on with the last panel of this section of this conference, of the Agrifood conference. That's why I'm inviting, first of all, I think I need another chair, so I'm gonna grab one somewhere here. For example, this one. No, they are together. Good, okay. We'll manage something. First of all, I need on the stage, I have the definition here, I want to read it because it's pretty new to me. Experienced designers and technological adventurers, Mary Kay and Arvid Jens. Please, join us. Then it's the turn of James Hunt, founder of Viridi. Please. Then I'm inviting Kasper Kumen and Engeli Kummeling, please. And then I just ran out of chairs, but it's time for Lee Kadeski. I'll find another one, sorry. This is your table, right? Isn't it? So we're near. Mi portate una sedia, una qualsiasi, nel frattempo? Ok. So, I'm getting it. I can't see you like that, please.
I'll move when it's time.
Yeah, they bring. È staccata quella? Yeah, they're bringing it. Here we go. Here we go. That's my boy. Thank you. We are more makers. We're hacking also this room. Thank you very much. So, finally we did it. Let's start in the same order I asked you on the stage. And let's start with Mary Kay and Arvid Jens. You're artists, are you? So do you have a...
Yes.
Are you? Yeah. And you have a project called SAM you want to talk about us.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start on why two artists like you are on the stage of the Maker Faire.
Sure. We also have a short video if you want to introduce the project. Arvid can take care of that.
I have a lot of
you have already
pictures taken
pictures.
from the.
Maybe
You sent it to me. We can show
Arvid.
this during your talking.
Yeah, that sounds good. So what you see up here is a machine that we built together.
Yeah.
That is autonomous food production system. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense with Maker Faire also to show what we do from the art perspective and the design perspective in hacking automated system and yeah, making from little people also big automated devices for food production.
And
if you want, I can tell a bit more about Sam.
yeah, of course.
So the robot that you see up here is called SAM, and that means Symbiotic Autonomous Machine. And it's a machine that we made with the purpose of creating a machine that could produce its own income and survive on its own in the human world. So the machine that you see up there is producing, well, actually there's two of them. One is producing a drink with a bacteria called water kefir, and the other one with a bacteria called kombucha. But basically, it's the same system. You can come up to this machine, you pay a few cents, and you get a nice drink. And with that money, the machine can pay everything it needs for its survival. So electricity, water, but also taxes, which makes it as well an active member of our society.
Okay, when two artists put together technology and food, there is a message there. Which is your message? What are you going to teach us with your... There's always something.
Yeah.
No?
So one thing we are seeing is that our society is getting more and more automated. There's more systems that are already working without the intervention of humans. And if you look at big-scale farms, often the humans are rather following the algorithms and the systems rather than the other way around. The farmers are just sitting in their tractors, checking if everything is going all right, but the tractor is making the decision on where to go and when to harvest, those kind of things. And I think, or we think, actually it's better to think about these kind of things early on, how to arrange it in society, and do you want to keep all of these systems in the hands of maybe very big corporations or specific individuals, or is there a way to democratize it? And we really like to start small in that sense, to make a system that does this, that is very understandable, that people can walk up to, where they can buy a drink from, where they can see what's going on, where they can learn from, and from that that we can think also about policy and how to scale this up to bigger things.
So it's a statement, I mean, from your perspective as artists, using this technology to generate in another way food, it's a way to say people can use technology to reclaim their role in the society, but also to stop being just consumer, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And we think that so far, for the longest time, automation has mostly been something of very big groups. And now we talked earlier about microcontrollers and all these new technologies that brings it in the hand of people. And I think in that way, there's a lot of different ideals, a lot of different way of thought that can be put to use, and that can be a way to experiment with automation differently, and so a way to think of how do we produce our food differently.
Yeah. Being artist, I have a question which is a little
Sure.
maybe far from makers, but I was just asking, being makers, you are part of a community, okay, where you share knowledge, ideas, and practical advices. When I think about artists, I always think about, I'm Italian, Michelangelo, this voluntary and solitary act of creation where you are completely alone. What it's like to be, what does it mean today to be artist in a community where you share everything, even your creativity?
Well, I think also Michelangelo and all those artists that we know as one single person, they were working with very big workshops and a lot of assistants, and it was actually, I think, already quite a big collaboration. And I think this tradition is continuing and is growing even bigger, because now we can communicate. I mean, it's incredible, thanks to the Food Institute, that we can be here in Roma and meet here the Italian makers, and also from all over the world. So we have even a bigger range of collaboration, and we're especially interested to connect with people that do something completely different than what we do, like scientists or chefs, because that really broadens our understanding of things, and through that we hope to produce for the public then new ideas.
So this interaction influences your decisions. You wanted to add something.
Yeah, I want to add something, like especially now in the last maybe 5-10 years, there's also the phenomena of open source, which makes things even extremely more open, that we don't every time have to invent everything ourselves from the basis, but maybe when we want to learn about machine learning, there's indeed the people like the coffee machine we saw before, from which we can take some ideas, and maybe some other people want to make another food system with mint plants, who take some ideas from us that we share online, and in that way I think we really have found a way with the internet and open source, a way to all collaborate together, even if you don't know each other, if you're not in the same room, to still build upon each other's ideas.
So it's true what John Scully told me once. John Scully is the one who kicked out Steve Jobs from Apple years and years ago. But now it's a very intense observer of the technological scene. We are no longer progressing thanks to the idea, the one single idea from one genius, but we are progressing all together because we are cooperating from everywhere in the world, even as an artist.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And in that sense, we're also not only artists, but also engineer, also maker, also designer, also... you have to be everything at the same time to make something. It's of no use to be in your room by yourself and only make something for yourself, but
Yeah, I see your point. James Hunt, we started talking about plants. Now, let's go back to the plants. What do you do? Yeah, let's start with that.
So first and foremost, I want to thank Chiara for bringing me out here and thank everybody who helped set up the Maker Faire. This is one of the most wonderful events that I've been to, and as we've been discussing, a great opportunity to share and grow together for a more prosperous future, which we so sorely need.
Yeah.
And with that said, I run a small vertical farm in Richmond, Virginia. We grow plants that
we have one.
you can hold it. Pass it along. So we grow plants that are designed to go in these windowsill vases. And we grow them from seed and distribute them locally, not unlike a milkman. We also sell shelf-stable grow kits that go in these vases as well. And the whole idea behind it is to tap into the aesthetic beauty of plants as a part of everyday life for individuals, not so unlike some of the meal delivery services that are now available in the US. I'm not sure if there are any here in Italy, but the idea behind those is to teach people how to empower themselves when it comes to cooking on their own. So we want to do the same thing for gardening, and we've taken away many of the variables that stop people from gardening. But I think the most profound realization that came out of building this product was that all of the ingredients are already, as was already mentioned, in the seed. Biological life is the most complex computer system on Earth, by far. And if we can get more people activated and tapping into that, we can grow cities, urban space, and personal space that's not only more beautiful and healthier, but also participatory, collaborative, and able to change our relationships with one another and the earth. So
define vertical gardener.
So vertical farming is, I would say, defined by having to farm in a high rent area, somewhere where it's very expensive. And because of this, you try to maximize the growing that you can do with a small square meter room. So we have 136 square feet of growing space. We grow all of our plants from seed. And in this way, we can actually sell the entire plant to individuals, which allows us to make money in a way which is a lot easier than trying to sell produce. Because if you're trying to sell produce from a vertical farm and you're paying rent in a city, you're competing with the Salinas Valley in California, who can sell spinach for $1 a pound.
Yeah, this kind of gardening is not just empowering people to grow their own plants. It's something that, when widespread, can change the entire aspect of a neighbor or the entire city. So it's something that can have an impact, isn't it? I mean, in the perspective, is there a chance that those people can come to the street and start gardening, for example, in the public areas or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the product that we make, we deliver a plant to folks every single month when they're signed up for the subscription service. But the packaging that the plant comes in biodegrades over the course of 6 months and allows for the user to actually plant the plant outside in the ground. And we're doing work now to connect our customers with community gardens, which are springing up all over the world and all over the United States. I think historically they've played a big role here in Italy and Germany, but in the US we have less of that. It's changing, but we wanted to build a product that could contribute directly to the growth of these traditionally non-profit, community-focused, and wonderful gardening enterprises. So
you are a maker in a very strict sense, so you make plants grow up.
Yes. But I think it's critical to note that all of the research that led to my ability to do this was something that's been going on for most of human history. Farming, gardening, there's no shortage of resources, but with the modern food production system that we have, a lot of this has become sort of niche.
Yeah.
And you have to, do as I did and go to obscure events with mostly elderly folks in the United States to learn how to really grow great food at home. But once you've tapped into that, you can pretty much grow anything, and new varieties and forgotten varieties. I mean, there's a premium market for heirloom tomatoes, right? Grown from old seeds. And I think there could be such a market.
Agreeing
yeah,
a lot.
there could be such a market for really any number of crops. I mean, most of the wheat and soy and corn that is grown in the United States is of one variety, and it's designed to feed animals, not people. And you see all kinds of deficits in terms of the well-being of individuals that are mostly eating this single variety of grain, and all of the genetic material in seed is already available with a whole set of literature and cultural understandings on how to grow it, but we need to spread that awareness, and that's part of what Veridi Urban Farms does.
So I understand there is also a cultural issue. I mean, there are the elder people that also have to do that because they were farmers, for example, and this kind of knowledge needs to be passed to the people that are in their house, for example, in the center of a great city like New York. It's not that easy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason that people have trouble gardening is typically because they have too many choices when they go to the store to embark on a new project. So we've, again, taken away some of those choices with our product design. We prefer to send people ready-to-go kits that allow them to have success with that first experience, so that when they go to do it in their community or further in their home, they can have more success. And walking around Rome has been great, a real treat, because people have had that success with gardening here, more so, I would say, than in the United States. And the result is a much more beautiful city.
You know that during the war in Rome, every public garden was a farming place because they needed more food. That they were farming everywhere. Did you know that? Yeah,
that's fascinating. We had a similar thing in the United States during World War II. Victory gardens. People were encouraged to
something like that.
Take it upon themselves to plant food, and sure enough, they were able to produce most of the food, the fresh fruits and vegetables that otherwise were going to the rest of the food was going to the soldiers to fight the war, and simply because of this Victory Gardens initiative, it really changed the food landscape. So it's possible again. We've tried to come up with a simple way to do it, and wanted to focus not only on the food aspect of plants, but also on the fact that they're beautiful. There's a deep cultural history to them, and that's something that we wanted to elevate and make accessible to more people.
Thank you. Casper, this is about the time to talk about, could you please pass the microphone? It's about the time to talk about digitalization in agriculture, isn't it? So, how's going it? I mean, farmers and technology, how are they doing together? I don't know if we were going to have the, we have something there. Yak, there you go.
Yeah, I'm here to represent farmhack.nl, which is an initiative that aims to bring the community that we see in a fair like this, the maker community, to farms, and make that way of working and a way of thinking also available to farmers, because we strongly believe that that farmers are the ones who are caring about our food. They're making our food, so they should be empowered in doing that. And we believe that in solutions that use technology in a creative way, we could be able to empower farmers to work on their farms in a way that's sustainable and durable and more resilient. If you look at all the challenges that have been highlighted in previous presentations already, that the way that we are consuming food and dealing our relationship as a society with food puts a heavy strain on our planet. So it's very clear that there needs to be a shift. And in this sense, talking about technology here, it's kind of a trap also to think that the answer is in technology by itself.
Of course.
I think
it always is people.
It's people, and it's mindset, and it's collaboration, and it's openness, and that's what we're trying to do with FarmHack. So
I hope it go
the
on.
wrong clicker. All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have this is just a slide of our team. So some things that we focus on, like this is a shot of a farmer inside his cabin. This is his office, basically. And you can see that the office is not just a window with where you see fields, but you see there's a lot of screens and buttons and sensors and stuff. So farmers are already very much used to using technology. But one of the problems that we see is that often this technology is owned by, organizations that the farmers themselves they don't control. So the technology is not theirs, and
isn't the data.
And the data, of course, that then comes from the farms is, of course, very interesting data. Yeah. So we see also a challenge in the sense of how do we make this data, how do we empower the farmers in using and applying that data in a way that they feel comfortable with, and that benefits the quality of the food that they produce. So our approach as FarmHack is very farmer-centric. So we bring the maker community to the farms. So we organize hackathons on farms where the designers and the developers, which is basically like a distributed artist. Thank you for. So the community is a distributed artist. We bring them together, and the farmer they present their reality, which and they face all kinds of challenges. Being a farmer. And then what happens is that swarm, basically, that creative swarm, then dives into that challenge and tries and then picks it apart and basically finds new and creative approaches to it and comes up with new ways of doing things. So at the farm, and the funny thing is that it works both ways. So working on a farm is great for a farmer because he can actually show what he's doing every day. He can show his farm. Farmers are very proud of what they do, rightfully so. So it's interesting for the community of makers to experience that. And at the same time, as a community, when you're working on a prototype, doing it on the farm really enriches the context in which you're, the perspective from which you think about the challenge and from which you think about the solution. And you're able to directly deploy and test your ideas out in the field or on the machines, or
literally in the field,
in the stable. Yeah, exactly. So what you see is that that people build prototypes like this, which can be very rudimentary, but they work. They are often in our hackathons. The goal is not to produce a finished product, but to illustrate a point, and that's what these prototypes do. So we use, we have the way we work is multidisciplinary teams is very important. So because what we want to avoid is that, or what we want to enable, basically, is multiple perspectives on problems. Because then you get much richer solutions. So at the farms, we bring the technology to the farm, and what you see coming out of these hackathons are applications like this, or solutions like this one, which is called Boer en Bander, which translates to farmer and field, basically, which is an interface that where farmers can, find information about their land, their plots. Using publicly available data. Then this is another application where there was a camera system built onto a tractor, so that a farmer could highlight points of interest in his field, and then the camera would automatically, snap pictures whenever the tractor would be at that point. So you have a historic, series of photographs of that plot. This is another example where they built a system where farmers are able to do more precision farming on their plots. And the interesting thing is that through doing this, we find that larger organizations are becoming interested in the way that we deal with agriculture challenges. So This year we were present at the Agrivision conference with a lot of multinational players. And it's interesting to see how they're very open to learning from the maker way of doing things. So that's really interesting to see that there's this cross-domain collaboration started to exist. One thing I want to highlight is also that we strongly encourage our participants and the people that we work with to be open about their design. So we have places where the teams share their data and their code and their designs in an open knowledge platform. Yeah. So with our heroes.
Aren't those heroes scared? Just the last question for. Are they scared of this change, or do they need it? I mean, the farmers.
They welcome it very much. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. The thing is, you're in farming because you love it. So you want to do well.
Yeah.
You want to care for your land. You want to care for your animals. You want to care for your crops in the best way that you know how to. So if you get help to do that better in a way that frees you,
it is welcome.
It's welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Angeli, what happens said when you are from Mac 2? Please introduce yourself.
Introduce myself. I'm Angeli Kummeling. I live and work in the Netherlands, and I work as an urban planner.
Yeah.
And on the one side, we see the world population growing fast, and on the other side, we see a transformation and more awareness about food and healthy food, and we need more healthy food, like vegetables for everybody, for the world population. And my approach is, I worked for the government and I work for consultancy office also. What is the role of the government in this? I think that next to what communities can do by themselves and people at home can do, like urban planning, vegetable gardens, there's also a task for an urban planner to point like public spaces or empty buildings can be transformed to urban planning spaces. In The Hague, I worked for 10 years, and there was a problem with empty office buildings were too old to
for be inhabited.
Yeah. And one of the office buildings, it's called the Schilde, and it's the biggest urban farming project in Europe. They built a greenhouse on top of it, and on all levels there are growing plants and fishes, also fish, and it's circular in itself. So they're growing also food for the fish in the building, and I think there should be more also locally produced food. With the help of urban planners, and that's my approach in this.
Which is fascinating. So you are taking back abandoned spaces in the city to transform them in a farm.
Yes.
And are there other countries doing this in Europe, for example, or are you the only one? Which wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know actually, but my knowledge is more about the project in the Netherlands. But
okay. And
I know there
are there other cities where you're doing this in the Netherlands?
There's Rotterdam has a boat, which is the first floating farm in Europe. And there.
I understand, on the river?
No, in the harbor. In the harbor of Rotterdam. And there were also jokes on Twitter that cows get dizzy on the on the boat. But Netherlands is very dense. We have to be very careful with space and very efficient. So now there's a lot of discussion on how do you say that? Using vertical farming, but also with the good quality of, I think, for animals and plants, like they need a lot of space to grow and to be happy. That's.
Yeah, your country is pretty used to win land over the sea, and now you're winning farming field over the cities. It's incredible. And what's the next step?
The next step is, I think, urban planners should facilitate, engage people, or how do you say that, to their idea, work together, work more together, not from like a tower position. How do you say that?
Okay.
Work from the grassroots. Bottom up, not top down, and I think that's a transformation on all levels, and a crossover should be normal. Should be in the future. Should be, how do you say that? The base, the standard.
Yeah. Thank you, Anjali. It's an incredible experience, and I hope that they do something like this also in Italy. We have a lot of abandoned places we could use like this, and not transforming them in a new, apartments and so on. Yeah, that's
also roofs and empty roofs, and I think I saw a lot of chances in Italy.
Okay, last but not least, Lee Kadeski. You are no longer on your knee, and that's reassuring. And let's start from this. What's on my table?
So we have the world's first, best, and only mealworm and cricket bolognese. They are untraditional meat sauces.
You are talking about bolognese, cricket together here in Italy. Be careful. Go on, please.
So we're after the next frontier in gastronomy. What is going to be the next sustainable food that's going to feed a growing population into the future, and in a way that's satisfying and exciting. Insects are, in our opinion, the next frontier in food.
That's actually what it looks like, is it?
Yeah. So we...
Please, go back to the first one. Anyway.
So if they scroll through, I can talk about all of them, but everything you're looking at is made out of bugs, except the cone and the vanilla bean. But it's made out of that. So that is crickets. It's an ingredient I invented. I'm a food scientist. We call it textured insect protein, or TIP. And it's like tofu, but made out of bugs.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds great. But we can make it from any insect species. And the principle of it is to make products that cook like meat, deliver the nutrition of meat, deliver the texture of meat, but leverage the sustainable advantages that insects can provide, and the sheer excitement that insects can provide.
Let me see if I understand this clear. The issue in the next future is that the traditional way we produce food is not sustainable for all of us. So we need to switch to insects. And they have all the nutrients we need, do they?
Yeah, so I mean, for us, it's not a matter of switching. It's never an either or. But right now, by 2050, we're expecting to have 9 to 10 billion people on the planet. And largely because of rising incomes in Asia, we're going to see demand for meat roughly double. We use right now about 8 times the landmass of Brazil to raise all the cattle in the world. We don't have 16 Brazils. So similar to what Mark Post was looking at, we need to figure out how we're going to either increase supply or cut demand. And insects can be a stabilizing force in that. Our opinion is that it's about having a portfolio of solutions. I'd rather have 1,000 solutions than 999 to a problem at the end of the day. And insects can fit into the food system to close gaps and to connect pieces that didn't necessarily connect before. And there's some amazing things we're discovering. There was a paper published 2 years ago that showed you could raise mealworms on a diet of styrofoam. These are massive, massive opportunities. There are 2,500 species of insects that have been just identified as edible. The real number could be closer to 2 million. If you think about how many things you ate this week, it might have been less than 50. So the opportunity for just sustainable gastronomy and expanding the range of what is edible is massive. And the opportunity for just our experience in our short time on Earth, I think, is value enough.
So the convenience is clear. Okay. What worries me is how do you get people even to taste this? I mean, it's the greatest issues.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest challenge. The best answer is 2 for me. 1, you make it delicious. 3, actually. You make it delicious, you make it look beautiful, and you make it exciting.
You
make it exciting. So our goal, we've had maybe 20,000 people eat insects in front of us in some way, shape, or form. And our principle with it is if you don't want to try bugs, that's fine. You know, we aren't, you won't hurt our feelings, we just think you're boring.
And how do you, is there a way you're thinking to interact, for example, with great chefs all over the world? I mean, they are the leader in thinking of modern way of intending foods. So maybe they could be your partner.
Yeah,
do
so
they want to?
We work with chefs a lot. In a lot of ways, chefs are the gatekeepers to taste.
Mm-hmm.
And they deliver something that we can't. My background in food is really in texture. And texture is something we create in the bones of a food, but flavor is sort of the colors you paint on top in a lot of ways. And that's where I really see chefs coming in and being able to use this new material to create new things that we never had. We're seeing this a lot now, and I mean, Noma and Chef Redzepi, you know, in Copenhagen, I think, is doing a ton of work with edible insects. There's a number of chefs in Canada and North America. We've had our crickets served in restaurants in Toronto and in the States. It's coming up, but it still has, I mean, we have probably 10,000 years of research still to do. But if we don't start today, it'll be 10,001.
I see on the screen that there are always the same photos going around, but I see bolognese, I see an hamburger, I see hot dogs and something like that. Do they taste the same as the originals, or do they have their own taste? Or do they taste like chicken? As we always say when we don't know what taste it's like chicken.
So to be honest, they taste like bugs. The ice cream we made tastes like ice cream. We can make them taste like what we want, or we can use the flavors that are there intrinsically. With the bologneses, one thing we love about them is the two of them, the cricket and the mealworm, are identical. Same tomato, onion, garlic, everything. The only difference is the bug. But when you taste them both side by side, they're totally different. Because the insects themselves deliver their own unique flavor. In my short experience working with bugs, I've tasted about 20 species, and I've worked with about 7. I've had bugs that taste like green apples, scrambled eggs, or paint. It's a big world. And so we have the opportunity to put flavor on top, you know, and to find neutrally flavored insects and paint a new flavor on top of it. Or we have the opportunity to find new flavors, you know, in that insect, or even put new flavors in through the feed and how we raise it, and then, you know, leverage those in the final product. But it's a totally open space.
Yeah, this sounds a lot like a bottom-up project. Do you think that governments, mostly in the Western country, are getting the problem and are understanding that this could be a solution?
I think we're seeing it. I think we're seeing it fairly selectively. For example, in Italy, I can't legally sell this product. That may change on January 1st. In Korea, there's a ton of support for mealworm farming and growing mealworms for food. Finland just made headlines for a major company making bread with cricket powder. So I think it's varying from country to country. A number of countries are standing out now and trying to position themselves as leaders in this new space. And I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. But I'm heavily invested.
So while I'm looking forward to taste a pancake made by cricket, I thank all our guests today for being here and explain us what's the future of food. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for staying here. Thank you. Here we go.